much for joining us today for When I Grew Up. On today's podcast, I have a good friend that I met in college, someone that I looked up to really as an older sister, and I'm excited that she's sitting down with me today. Her name is Hailey Henry. Hi, Hailey. How are you?
Good. How are you, Blair?
I'm great. Thank you so much for chatting with me today. I know that you are a super busy person. Not only are you going to tell us about what you do for a living, but you're also a boy mom of 2 and a wife. And it's just, I'm sure it's crazy. So thank you again. I'm really thankful.
Of course.
So Hailey is here to tell us about the company that what she does for the company she works for. She works for a tech company called Ingram Micro. And from what I know and what she's kind of explained to me ahead of time is that Ingram Micro is actually one of, or the largest, right, technology distributors in the world. So what do you do for Ingram Micro, Hailey?
I know when I tell people like, oh, Ingram Micro, like that, doesn't really mean anything to anybody. But I'll just give you a little background on Ingram. So Ingram is the world's largest technology distributor. So we do about $50 billion in annual revenue. Just to kind of throw out some stats, just to kind of give you, just a little context.
Uh-huh.
So over 33,000 employees globally, operations in 64 countries, partnerships with over 1,700 vendors. So that's kind of what Ingram is. And then my role is the global marketing lead. So I run point on some of our most strategic cloud vendor lines, like Microsoft Azure and Amazon Web Services. So in my role, I actually cover 5 major responsibilities. And I wrote this down so that, because it's always so hard to explain my role to people that are not in distribution or not really, in technology. So just to make it simple, the 5 major responsibilities that, my role can kind of be categorized into is managing the vendor partnerships and leading the marketing strategy, building the global programs and campaigns for all of the countries to execute in their local markets. And then also managing global funding, forecasting, and things like that. And then helping activate new markets and then aligning our country channel marketing teams to the global marketing strategies that we're putting out. And then I play a lead role in the annual planning and then subsequently the delivery of the reporting that comes out of it, the KPIs and things on a monthly, quarterly, annual business review.
Wow. Okay. So for someone that is not tech savvy, I hear all of that and I'm like, that sounds like a really big deal. But I mean, so you're mentioning some big names that I recognize, like AWS and Microsoft Azure. These are all cloud, right? What do you say? What did you say?
Infrastructure. Yeah.
Yes. So, in working with them, you're doing these list of things that you had mentioned before. So did you know about all of these things? So I should some context, I guess. Like for me, knowing you in college, I know that you weren't a major that majored in something like this or business or anything like this. Am I wrong in saying that?
Yeah. So in college, I majored in psych and social behavior, which is not anything related to what I'm doing. And I actually never got into psych and social behavior even after I graduated. So basically in college, I was eager to graduate. So I was like, okay, I'm going to just, do whatever is available to me. And at that time, I think, even when I entered college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So even the major that I chose, it was very broad. And I went to a school that didn't even have a marketing major. So, I kind of had to pick and choose what was available to me. So I tried economics, I tried business and management. I did I started a minor and doing this and that. I think I thought about doing criminal justice. So then I did internships in a law office and like, I just kind of explored.
Yeah.
and then at some point, I really liked psychosocial behavior. So I ended up, just sticking with that. And at some point you just have to graduate. So I just kind of finished that in 4 years and then, graduated, and I was just really eager to get out in the real world. And then right when I graduated, I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I tried all these different things and, I graduated. But so even when I was looking for my first job, I just prayed and I was just like, God, just place me wherever you want to. And I'll just do a really good job and I'll do it with integrity and just do my best. And I just kind of sprinkled my resume out everywhere into anything that I was interested in doing, like events and marketing and all kinds of stuff. And then the first job I landed was, right out of college was, in PR. So it was like PR marketing, in the entertainment industry. So I started there and then I did entertainment for a couple of years before I switched into technology.
I see. So, so you always kind of wanted to do marketing and PR, do you feel like? Because I feel like actually psychosocial behavior does kind of line up with that kind of career path. Because you have to work with people, know how people think in order to market things well, do public relations well, right? It kind of matches.
Yeah. It does kind of, and psychosocial behavior is probably one of those majors that can be used in a variety of ways.
Mm-hmm.
So marketing, definitely I can kind of, draw from some of those learnings, but yeah, like I never went into actually studying, like marketing tactics or things like that. And I kind of just fell into it.
So you had to learn everything you know now kind of on the job, you feel like?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I
Okay, so
did.
I want to ask you about all of that and get into it all, but before we do, before I hear more about this journey that you took in order to get where you are today, Hailey, can you tell me kind of what your day-to-day looks like then as a global lead in marketing for Ingram Micro?
Yeah, so just recently we went through the entire fiscal planning. So with Microsoft, their fiscal year is actually it actually starts in July. So it goes from July to June, and June is the end. So because of the time frame of where we're at right now, there was a lot of fiscal year planning. So what I had to do was look at our goals. So our goals for the year, what we want to accomplish in this next fiscal year, and then kind of apply different campaigns and things that we would use as a mechanism to get there. So the day-to-day for, during that period was we had a lot of meetings. So my job in particular requires a lot of meetings. So half of my day is all in meetings, if not all day. So I've had days where I've literally had back-to-back meetings from start to finish. And then I would be wiped out. It's I'm on phone calls all day and video conferences. So that's a typical day. And that's probably very typical for most of our team. So all the marketing teams are kind of very much, doing that. So because my role, my scope is a global scope, I actually start a little bit earlier, and then there are days where I end a little bit later. So some days I have meetings starting at 6 a.m. because I'm on the phone with EMEA, or I have my counterpart is actually in the Netherlands. So I do a lot of things with her. So all morning long, we're getting on meetings together or doing things like that and doing planning and stuff. So that's kind of what my day looks like. And then in terms of actual deliverables and things, we would come up with a set of campaigns that we're going to run that year, deliverables and things that we would produce from a global entity that we would then flow downstream to all the local countries so that they can use and then scale out that campaign. So we're basically coming up with all the strategies and all the assets, and we give it to all the local countries for them to then execute in country.
I see. Okay, that makes a little more sense in my head now.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. So like as far as these campaigns that you're coming up with, where does it start with you, or do you have a team of people that help you execute this?
Yeah, so we have a team of people. So we gather together. So I own a portion of it, and then other teams own different portions. So I actually have the infrastructure piece. So that's like Microsoft Azure and things like that. And then I have counterparts where they will own like communications and collaboration. So they're doing like the Office suite or things like that. Teams, Microsoft Teams and other aspects of Microsoft, the product line. And then, yeah, all of us kind of collectively come up with our own strategies and campaigns for the year and programs and things that we would create. And then, that entire kind of set of strategies then kind of become our entire Microsoft strategy for the year.
Okay.
And then we then communicate that to all the local countries and say, this is a global strategy. This is kind of what we're going to do. And then they kind of fall in line with that so that they can align their strategies in the same way.
Okay. So could you give me an example of like a campaign, like what it would look like, kind of?
Yeah. So, so one of the campaigns that's pretty cool that we're doing is what we're calling. Should I share this?
Oh,
well,
yeah.
It's basically an upsell campaign. So we're looking at consumption data of how our partners, so our customers, are consuming Azure today. So let's say if they're doing backup or they're using the storage components or things like that, all the different elements that create that infrastructure, then we would look at the services or products that they're not utilizing today that would be a good fit or a complementary to what they're currently executing.
Wow.
So then we would then take that information and we pull that kind of consumption data into like a Power BI dashboard, like a visualization layer, where we would look at, okay, like so-and-so partners are kind of in this bucket of services and you kind of categorize them that way. And then we create automatic triggers so that they start receiving marketing nurture streams where they will then be educated on, you're not currently using this today, and then we kind of provide them resources so that they can go after their customers in a way that they can then start utilizing those services and create a more well-rounded like Azure practice. So,
that is fascinating.
That's an example.
No, truly, I'm like, wow, yeah, that's really cool. I mean, do you find that cool?
For thinking, yeah, I like it, but I'm in the field. I don't know if when other people are hearing it, they're like, okay.
No, I think that's really fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, that's what a marketing like campaign would do. It would market things that aren't being used. That makes complete sense.
Good. Okay, good. I'm glad I explained it in a way that it's not like, what is she talking about?
No. Anything, what I'm learning throughout doing all these interviews too, is that there are just so many components and aspects of my life where I just don't think about how it works, but someone is making it work so that, I can live better. So it's been really cool and really great. But anyways, okay, so can you kind of take me back to what you were talking about before? You wanted to hurry up and graduate college. And when you did, you were like, okay, now what? You put out the resumes and you landed your first job in entertainment as a PR person. I'd love to hear what that experience was like for you.
Yeah, PR, well, entertainment industry in itself is a lot of fun. It's very, very interesting. It's kind of like its own world because everyone in entertainment actually knows everybody in entertainment. So it's and actually in technology, it's very similar because it's very internetworked. So like just because I'm working at Ingram Micro does not mean like I'm my own kind of entity and I don't touch anything else. Like we work very closely with Microsoft, we work very closely with Amazon Web Services. So there's actually a lot of like cross pollination of things, and even just kind of this like incestuous like relationship where, you know, one day you're at Ingram, next day you're at Microsoft, and you work there for a couple of years, and then you come back to Ingram. Like, you know, they even call that like a second term at Ingram. Like, you know, that kind of stuff happens a lot because you're working with so many vendors.
I see.
And in entertainment, it's very similar in like, and that's why networking was so big, because you're working with all these different you know, management companies or agencies, like, you know, talent agencies, and, you know, all of these different aspects, like the production companies and things like that. So the more networked you are, the better, you know, you can kind of thrive and do well in your job. So there's a lot of that too. But entertainment industry was really fun because, I mean, it is really like what you would think. You know, in a PR role, I did a lot of like red carpet events. So we did film premieres. I worked the Grammys twice. I did like People's Choice Awards and SAG Awards. Like we would go to like the people that you see running around in the back in black wearing badges. Like that's what a PR person does. Like, so they're taking their clients to do interviews throughout the red carpet line with all these different entertainment media outlets, so that you can get publicity for your client, and, you know, for whatever you're kind of representing. So we did a lot of that. So that was really fun. My first job was really cool because I got to learn a lot on the job. And yeah, like it was like, I had the opportunity to work with, it was a small PR company, but I still had the opportunity to, work with really cool people in the industry. So for example, like, we were putting together like a humanitarian awards event for the first time, and we were working with some really A-list celebrities. And I had the opportunity to work with like some of the top like event producers in the entire industry. So I worked with producers that were putting on Oscars and Emmys and all of these things. Really just kind of running around with them and stuff like that. So that was really fun, especially because I really liked the event space. So that was really fun. And then I kind of transitioned into like production side where with like the actual production companies and stuff like that, like Lionsgate.
So, after you had some time there in the entertainment world, why did you leave? Because I feel like the Hailey I know would love it and continue to thrive there.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was definitely really fun. You know, I mean, so even in my first responsibility when I got to the production company that was with Lionsgate was to work on a Jennifer Aniston movie. And she was like my favorite, like all time forever celebrity crush. Like, so like I loved her.
Yeah, who doesn't love
up.
Jennifer Aniston? Yes.
Yeah. So like, it was like, oh my goodness, like, you know, this was like a dream job. I really loved it. And stuff like that. But like when I was doing that job, I was actually commuting from where I lived, which was like Hacienda Heights area, all the way to Santa Monica. So that was like a 2-hour drive one way with the traffic, the LA traffic.
Gosh.
So I was driving very regularly, 3.5, 4 hours every single day. And you can do that when you're single for a while. But I did that for about 5 years. And then I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. So the drive was really tough. And then at that time, that's when I was dating my now husband, and we were talking about marriage. And then once I got engaged, you know, he was working out in Mission Viejo, which is completely the opposite direction. So there was just no happy medium, because where I was, the Hacienda Heights location would have been like the middle ground. That means I would have kept doing that same, like, you know, distance and commute. So it was just not, practical for me to do. So then we decided, okay, like, why don't I just try to find the job out in the Orange County area where he was, so that then we can kind of build our life out there. And then, yeah, that's kind of what happened.
So, was that an easy transition for you? Like, what kind of things had to happen for that, for you to even get a job in Orange County?
Yeah.
Because like you were in the
Um,
entertainment business for a while, and Orange County is not really known for entertainment. It's more known for its tech and
right,
technology, especially where we went to school in Irvine as well. So
right.
yeah, so were you just like, all right, God, do whatever you need to do, or what happened?
I was actually like at that time, I think I was really ready for a change, so I was all for it. So because I feel like when you're at that point, especially like in singlehood, and dating life, you've dated a guy for 3 years, you're ready to get married now. So I was like, okay, like exciting new chapter in my life. Let's go. Like, I'm down. I'll go wherever you want me to go. Let's do it. So yeah, so I kind of just, left the entertainment world. Um, and then when I was looking for a job, I basically tried to find jobs that, still were relevant for the type of responsibilities I held, without it being in the same industry. So I try to find as many like commonalities as possible. I looked at like the job posts and looked at, okay, well, the thing that I did here is relevant for this thing, and kind of doing a lot of that. So yeah, so I was able to land a job in a web agency, and that's kind of how I first started in tech.
Mm, I see.
It was
Sorry.
hard. It was hard though. It was hard to leave because at that time, like I was also kind of ready for like the next thing because I had been at that Lionsgate company for about 3 years, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
okay, I kind of want to, move on to the next thing and continue to grow. So at that time, at the same period when I was looking for like, do I move to OC? Do I kind of stay here? Do I figure out a job that I can kind of do, in this area? I was like interviewing at like Warner Brothers and Fox and like going to all these really major studios and things like that. So it was really like it did take a little bit of like, oh, okay, I'm having to leave this behind.
Mm,
But I think at the same time, like because I had something exciting to look forward to, it was much more doable.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, in this new job that you got, right? You had to learn a lot of new things, I'm assuming, right? Was it in marketing? Was it in PR or?
So this was in marketing. So I had to learn a lot of the technical aspects of what the company did, but the concepts were similar. So like the concept was still like, getting brand awareness and, doing all of these things. But it was more around, like I had to learn and do like a crash course learning on my own to really learn like all the technical aspects of like HTML and, this CMS and that, all of these terminologies that I wasn't familiar with.
Right.
So I had to kind of like, yeah, I had to just learn. So I did a lot of research when I first got there because, you still want to look like, you know what you're doing. It's like, okay, like,
Fake
oh
it till
yes,
you make
yes.
it. Yes.
You always say yes, you can do it. And then you figure out how to do it after. So yeah, so that's kind of how I really kind of managed to get by. And I was able to pick it up, like, with the help of like, just, my coworkers and everyone that I was working with. But it was a very exciting experience for me because I loved learning it. Like I
Mm,
loved learning the technology behind it. So even developing like a mobile app, like what are all the different like phases that go into that and yeah.
wow. So I just feel like you just transitioned so well through all of these jobs. And I'm, again, thinking back to just the beginning where you just graduated college. For me, you're talking very nonchalantly about how you got all these like amazing jobs, but for people listening, I know. So okay, again, just the history between you and me and us. We actually served in campus ministry together, the
Mm-hmm.
first couple of years of when I was in college, and I can tell you, Haley is a hard worker, and she like always goes above and beyond. just some fun facts. I don't even
Oh,
know if she's gonna like be okay with me sharing this, but like some really fun facts are like Hailey is she's an extremely good dancer, and
oh my
she like
God.
used to like choreograph these
Oh my
dances
God,
when we were
no.
in college, and I just looked up. I was like, wow, like she does it all, you know, like like so
Oh
cool.
my God, I
Um,
have not danced in so
you
long.
didn't you
Your body
you
goes rigid after you have babies.
okay, I can attest to that. I yeah, but
It's
but
the age.
just a lot of things. I've just always known that about her, and even where she's gotten today, I know it's because of the work that you've put in. But you know, for people that are listening and are just really fascinated by your story thus far, I'm curious. Like, do you know what? I don't know how else to put it honestly, but like, do you know what got you in the door? Like,
Yeah,
was it like good
yeah.
interviews or do you know what I'm
I
asking?
yeah. So in entertainment, because you know how like I mentioned, you have to network a lot. So I had to make a lot of like connections, and you kind of have to be like friendly with a lot of people, and you go out to. I mean, they actually recommend doing like 2 to 3 networking sessions every week. So like that means you're meeting 2 to 3 new people every week, right? And trying to get
Really?
connected with them. And yeah, so, and that's at a minimum. I've seen guys that, you know, are really aggressive and really ambitious, and they've done like 2 a night. Like
Oh
they're
my
meeting like
gosh.
double time, like everyone
Oh
they
my
can possibly
gosh.
meet. Yeah, so that really helps. And that's how I ended up getting, leads into all these other like potential jobs, because there's a lot of like backdoor ways to get interviews, especially in those industries, things like that. With this, when I was making the transition into web agency,
Mhm.
it really was just, I don't know what it was. Like, I really just, like, I try to cater my resume, and this is something that I actually do, like, when I mentor others that are, you know, looking for, like, you know, for career mentorship and things like that. I always say, like, any job that you want to go after, look at the job postings of like jobs, and make sure that you're trying to gain the kind of experience to meet that job, right? So then you're kind of working backwards almost, in a sense. Like, okay, so like for this job, I need to be able to do, you know, have this kind of experience. So then you're trying to do all the things that will get you there. So like, even when you're putting together a resume, like every resume that I put out was catered to that specific job. So like, I'm always very like cautious of like, even like the words that are in that resume that, you know, get filtered out for all of these things that, you know, these, HR tools and things now do. You really want to be smart about how you apply for a job. And then I do feel like I do personally actually get a lot of compliments on my interview skills. Maybe because I've done so many. But you know, get out there. Yeah. But yeah, like, I mean, there are some like interviews where I completely flopped, especially in the beginning of my career. And then, you know, like, I think the more you do them, the more like, you know, comfortable you get. And then at some point, it's really just talking about like what experience you already have. Like, you're not having to, you know, kind of like just like fake it till you make it. Like, you're not really having to fake anything, because you've actually done all of these things that
Mhm.
can be applied. So I think it does get a little bit easier later on. And then I think as you grow in your career, the job market changes for you. So usually it's really harder, like it's much harder to get a job when you're entry level, because there's a lot of competition, but also you're lacking a lot of that experience to kind of get you through.
Sure.
So doing a lot of internships and things that you can just put on your resume is super, super helpful. Because you will have to have experience before you get that first job. So
Mhm.
anything that I was able to put on my resume was really helpful getting that first job. And then secondly, I would say, yeah, when you're advancing through that career path, you now have more leverage for recruiters to find you, right? So, making sure LinkedIn is optimized. Like, I've always kind of kept my LinkedIn, you know, up to date, and put out like the specific types of words that get, tracked in different systems and things like that, because I want to be very strategic in like the kinds of job offers that I would get as well. So my last two jobs, I actually wasn't even looking, and then recruiters found me, and then they kind of presented me this like really cool opportunity, and then I ended up taking it. So
Wow. So, is that how LinkedIn works? Like there are
yeah,
keywords that interesting. I've never used
yeah,
a LinkedIn, but oh, okay, that
yeah,
makes sense
yeah, yeah,
too.
yeah.
That's really
So I
good
think
advice. Thank you. So at Ingram Micro, um, where you are right now, are there any challenges that you feel like you face in your work, or just in general throughout your whole journey? Have you had any like obstacles or realizations that have helped you get where you are today?
I would say I think I always try to remind myself when I started with that kind of like commitment to God, like I will do whatever it is with integrity. So I always try to remind myself, in a lot of ways it's really easy to get kind of swept up in the world, and you kind of just, like go head to head where you need to go and things, just try to like, do, compete in a way that helps you continue to advance. But I always try to um, at least remind myself to like kind of go back to why I even started out in the path that I did, because it was definitely not anything that I did. Like I said, like I didn't have the education, I didn't have the experience kind of going into the field from the start, or even getting the job in the beginning. And then I just kind of worked really hard to just continue to just do a good job. So my big thing is like wherever I go, like whatever job I have, I always try to, and that sounds so cliche, but I always try to do like the best that I can.
Mm-hmm.
And then and I think, I've been like recognized for it. So it opens up a lot more doors, and it opens up a lot more opportunities for that continual kind of advancement and things, and I've been able to benefit from that. So that's been really, I don't know if that answers your question,
It
but
does, it
yeah.
does. But I guess going back to what you said about, committing whatever you're doing to you're committing to God and doing everything with integrity. Was that a struggle for you at times? Because I feel like, I worked in the entertainment industry for a little while, as soon as I graduated college, and I think there were moments in when I was in working in live television that, especially in production or like even just on sets of live television shows that I was doing, there were times where I felt like I'd need to compromise certain things of my character in order to get it done. And
Mm,
I tried really hard not to. And I think at the end of the day, I realized maybe for me, this is not where I want to be. This is
mm,
not what I want to be, I guess. And so
mm.
I'm curious, were there times in your, even whether it's entertainment or where you are now, where you felt like you were challenged in that way?
Yeah, I definitely think that's more prevalent in the entertainment industry. There are a lot of times where I would feel uncomfortable because I'm Christian, or because like I'm more conservative or things like that. Um, yeah, like it's definitely a challenge, but I do feel like um, I do feel like it's what do I want to say? I mean, it does kind of help you hold on to what you need to hold on more tighter a little bit. So I was thankful for that. But that's truly like with any job. I think it's very easy to kind of get swept up and just kind of like um, yeah, like the things that are right at the surface, things that you kind of need to do. And sometimes like even for me too, like I tend to be like a workaholic. So like I will like, work all night. I will, like do all nighters just because I want to really like get this thing finished and things like that. Um, but being able to have like the foundation to be able to be rooted and make and have a good balance of being able to make the right decision when you need to make the right decisions. I think that will be true no matter what job you
Yeah.
have. I do feel like that. So I think yeah, that was definitely challenging. And then like this is a little bit kind of a side note, but like I think as a mom or as like a as a working mom, it's always I think more challenging too. So there are other things that come with that as well. But yeah,
Wait, so
but
yeah,
you
like
too.
I'm not a working mom. I'm a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
Could you tell me some of the challenges that you are facing as a working mom?
Yeah, so I felt like before I had kids, I had more of that freedom to be able to um unleash my workaholic self. Like
Sure,
I
yeah,
could I
yeah.
could work long nights. I can do whatever I needed to do to get wherever I needed to go. And then once you have children, especially for a mom, I feel like it changes. I'm sure for dads too, but for a mom, um, like it really changes how you value work and family, and it shifts that a little bit. So you're no longer able to go as strong or as fast as some of the other free people over here.
Right, right, right,
But it's okay, it'll catch up to them too. I did feel a little bit of that I don't know what the word is in English, but like assume like the um, would that be regret? I don't know. Like you kind of feel a little bit of that loss. Like, you're not able to, if you're always performing at this level, you're not able to perform at that level anymore, but you kind of have to like bring it down a notch in order to like bring this up, because you're now having to balance this family life.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like in order to, because now you have other priorities in life, right? So you're now having to balance your 24 hours a little bit differently. So that was a little bit hard for me, personally, because like I want to go like all 24 hours every day if I can,
Sure,
but like
yeah.
I couldn't. So that was a little bit of a struggle, and then feeling like, um, feeling guilty sometimes, because like I have kids, but I want to keep prioritizing work and things like that. Just that the juggling was kind of
Yeah.
hard. But yeah, it was so good. I'm very thankful. Like I love my kids. They mean the world to me. So I think when I had them, I yeah, like it just changed. Yeah, and then I think, especially like the actual physical act of being with the children, was also, a challenge. So like when I had to actually, I had the opportunity to work from home for the first almost a year for 10 months with
Mm-hmm,
my first one, Clayton.
mm-hmm.
Um, so I was able to spend time with him until I felt like ready to let him go to daycare. Whereas my second one, I didn't have that option. So I had to put him in daycare at month 3. And like,
Oh
he
gosh, that's
was,
so tough
he
for
was
everybody.
exclusively breastfed. He wouldn't take bottle. Like both my kids were like that. But, so there was a lot of like, a lot of the emotions that came with being a mom, having to be at work separated from their child.
Sure.
So I remember because I was breastfeeding, I don't know if this is appropriate breastfeeding. And then every time, like, because moms know, like, physically, your body knows when your milk is like when it's time for feeding,
Yes.
right? So every time I would feel that, I would cry at work. Be like, oh my God, my son is hungry. Like, I'm not with him. He's probably looking for me because he doesn't take bottle. Like, so things like that. So it was a lot of like the emotional struggle of like physically my body feels it,
Yeah.
feels
Yeah.
that I'm a mom. So that
Yeah.
was really hard. Yeah, but all in all, like my kids did great. Like so they were okay and stuff like that. I think it's nice now that we get to work from home, because of COVID.
Yeah.
But then I think I'm ready for them to go back to school. Like, oh, this is really
Said
nice.
every
Okay, I
mom in
think we had
America.
I think we had our fill. I think we're good. But
Oh
yeah.
man. No, I mean, in my book, you are super mom. I catch up
Oh,
with
thank
you and stay in touch with you just through social media, and I remember that time of your life and just empathizing. I was like, oh my gosh, how is she doing this? Like, oh, like, but but at the same time, I know it's because not only you love your children, but you also love what you do too. Like you're passionate about what you do, so it's really
you.
important. And so, on that note, what do you love about your job? We talked
Yeah.
about the challenges, but like, what are some things that you love about what you do?
I really love my job in particular. I do feel like I get a lot of exposure to the really cool vendors. Like I feel like I have the best vendors. I love my vendors. Yeah, but I actually really enjoy working with Microsoft and Amazon, and kind of seeing like the different cultural differences. So it's like you kind of get the both best, like the best of both worlds in a lot of ways because you're getting to work with them, but also kind of represent them in a way, but we can still kind of be our own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I really appreciate that, and I feel like I've learned so much just kind of being in this environment. And then the thing I really love about technology is like it's so innovative. So there are times when I'm learning about different like IoT, which is Internet of Things, or like AI enabled, kind of yeah, like it's really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
You really see the impact that it has on the future, and things like that, which I love. Like I love that innovative aspect of it. Whereas, um, someone told me that marketing in the tech industry is like marketing 2 years ahead, and then marketing in like healthcare or something like or hospital or I forget exactly what the thing was, but this person was in that field. But he was saying like marketing in that field, even though you're doing the same marketing, you're 2 years behind. So it's like you're where you are, what industry you're working in really does make a big difference in the type of things that you're doing, even in the marketing role. I really feel like I get to benefit from that, and it's been really fun.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's so cool. Um, you know, I I'm sorry to backtrack, but
Oh
like
yeah.
I wanted to ask you before, and you had mentioned it before to me too. Um, like, did you from your entertainment days have any cool red carpet like stories?
So
because because I feel like, that's like the juicy stuff.
yeah, it's the juicy stuff. So I can tell you, like, the I mean it was really fun like getting to see all the celebrities, and I can name drop and say like I worked with like Jennifer Aniston, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, like Charlize Theron, Meryl Streep, like you see
So
all these people like
cool.
in real life. So it's like, oh my goodness, this is what they actually look like,
Mm,
up front and up close. So that's obviously like that's I think everyone thinks entertainment is fun in that way because you get to see the celebrities. But there was just so my first red carpet premiere with on the Jennifer Aniston movie when I got to that production company
yeah.
is I had food poisoning that day. And I was kind of getting ready to go to the premiere because I was working the carpet. And and on my way, like I had to pull over like multiple times to like throw up. And I
Oh
I
gosh.
remember getting to like I think it was a Rite Aid or something right before I turned into the premiere location, and I was literally like running, and I said, "Where is your restroom?" And they're like, "Right around the corner." And I didn't make it around the corner, and I just like all over the
Oh
like floor.
no.
But then I was running late for my premiere, so I was like, "I'm so sorry, I have to run." Because like, you know, like in entertainment, everything is so fast. Like you're fast paced. Like you see those like, you know, you see movies, you see like, entourage and things like that. It really is like that in a lot of ways, right? So like you have to go, go, go. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, I gotta go. I ran and I got to the premiere site, and I felt like I was better because I had already thrown up like 3 times by that point. And I was like, I feel like I've gotten everything out of my system that I possibly could. And then right when the premiere was about to start and Jennifer Aniston was walking down the carpet and she had just arrived, I literally was like, oh my God, I feel it again. And then I literally just turned my body and just like, blah.
No.
It was like so embarrassing. And then my manager was like, you need to leave. So like, and I couldn't even drive. I was pale in the face. Like I think I like almost blacked out at that point. I was like, I barely called someone to come pick me up, and like I finally made it out there, but I couldn't even like walk.
Oh,
and I was
goodness.
so sad because I missed the opportunity to tell Jennifer Aniston that I was a big fan and I have been working on her movie.
I mean, I don't know if that's a cool story, but that's a story that I will always remember.
Yeah. I had it in my head. I was like, at the after party, I'm going to go up to Jennifer Aniston and I'm going to just say like this really cool thing and just say, hey, Jen, like, but no.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And I was so young back then. I was like so like giddy. Yeah. But yeah, so that was memorable. I don't know if it was fun, but it was a very memorable time in my life.
That is crazy. Man, food poisoning sucks, first of all.
So bad.
And like, I can't even believe, I mean, I guess because you have to go. You can't just be like, sorry, I can't make it until you get there and you actually show them, look, I'm really sick, okay?
Yeah, and even if I was sick, I think like if my manager would have let me stay, I would have probably stayed if I could stand up. I think I would have stayed.
Right.
Like, I can still do it.
Yeah. Workaholic.
It's okay.
Workaholic.
It's okay. Just pop a breath mint. Yeah, but yeah, entertainment was definitely fun in that way. And then like even at the Grammys, it was really fun because you see people like Beyonce, like, you know, these people that don't look like, you know, real human, like, like walk by you. I walked Drake and his grandma down the carpet. It was really cute.
Oh,
Drake
wow.
was really sweet to his grandma, and then so I would like take them like saying like, okay, so this is ABC, this is, you know, E Entertainment, whatever, and then I would kind of like take them through. So that kind of stuff was really fun. But yeah, it's one of those things I think that you can really enjoy when you're young, and then, you know, like you've kind of got it out of your system, and you can kind of move on and do even more cool things in technology.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I feel like everything you shared today about your current job too is so cool. Like just that's the word for it for me. It's like that's so cool that you get to be a part of this growing technology that is so innovative and that is extremely current to every single person I feel like listening today. And so again, thank you so much for your time. Oh, something I ask all of my guests that I almost forgot to ask because I got distracted by Jennifer Aniston and you throwing up almost on her. But you kind of already shared some advice that you had about just, you know, applying for jobs and things like that. And I felt like that was extremely sound advice. But I was wondering, and I do ask all my guests, is there anything that maybe you would have done differently, knowing like this is where you would be today? If you could backtrack and like, is there anything you would have changed, or to add to that, is there any advice that you would give to anybody that would be interested in working in a field that you're working in right now?
Yeah, so I 100% always like have my go-to thing is like experience what you like and you don't like experience it when you can. So, especially like in high school and college, when you have the opportunities to do internships or part-time jobs or whatever it is, like you don't know what you don't know until you actually do it. So for me, that was like that law office that I worked in. I always thought, like, my parents, of course, being Asian parents are like, oh, like, be a doctor or a lawyer, like pick. So it was kind of like, okay, well, let me try it out just because I felt like law was interesting. And then when you actually get there, it's like you realize what's not really a fit for you. So it's the more things you get to experience, I think the more eye-opening it is for the things that you actually like to do. I really always recommend that for anyone, just to try it out. If you're thinking about, like, a field in HR or whatever, like try an internship, like try a part-time job, anything that you can offer up your services for free, because it's much easier to get those at a student level when they're offering it to you for educational purposes than when you've graduated and you're now looking for a job and now, they're obligated to pay you, but you don't have the experience, or, you're much less qualified than, the person that had the experience. So things like that, I would say definitely go and experience when you can.
Yes.
And then I think if I would have experienced it earlier, then I would have known sooner that I would have wanted to go into the marketing field. So I could have probably picked the right major or, things like that I didn't know. But I think that's why stuff like this is really good, because for someone that's looking into different career paths, being able to educate themselves on the types of jobs that are out there, like you actually don't realize there's so many jobs out there that like you've never heard of, but then there's actually like a whole, division dedicated to it, and it's really cool. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you again so much for your time today, Hailey. And if you enjoyed this podcast, this episode today, I encourage you to reach out. You can DM us on Instagram or email us at podcastwigu@gmail.com. That's WIGU. And I'm sure if you have any questions, Hailey would be okay, right, to answer them. She's super helpful and super amazing. So I know that she would be glad to connect with you. Thanks again for listening, guys. Until next time.